I've never done anything like this. And then when I got down to 78 kilos, I thought, this is impossible. But it's happened. And it wasn't the weight, it was how I felt, the inflammation. And I spoke to my body lady, she's a bodywork lady, and I said to her, because she's been the whole time I've been doing this, and I said, what is your take on the changes in me? And because she works with inflammation and the tissue mainly, it's like working on a body that's 15 years younger.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, and that's inflammation and just the whole tissue dropping and everything clearing in that sense. So when I'm encouraging people that this is something to look into, you'll initially get excited about the weight, but you wait until how you feel. That's when you know a program like this is incredible.
Hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance Stories podcast. This is where we share real stories and insights to help you on your journey to optimal health with personalized nutrition and learning about metabolic balance. I'm Cherry Wills. I'm your host today, and I'm excited to welcome my guest today. She has a great story. And I think it's one that really encompasses how looking at food and nourishment and how we fuel our body slightly differently, even when you have an incredible knowledge and you're highly educated in the field, but looking at it slightly differently to get different results can bring a whole new sense of well-being and wellness. Gillian Miller completed Metabolic Balance with her practitioner, Burgess, and she's a naturopath herself, and she's also turning 65 this year. What I'm so intrigued about your story is that were very highly educated yourself, and then you very much put yourself in the hands of Di to be your coach and be your practitioner. So a big welcome to you, first of all.
Thank you.
So can you share a little bit about, your background, maybe what you've experienced through a lifetime, because, you've got a wonderful life experience that maybe can help people understand what brought you to metabolic balance in the first place.
So I think the fact that I'm turning 65 this year is quite an important statement because being overweight's been in my family a lot. So I effectively went on my first diet when I was about 15. So to get all that chubby weight, and my mother was really worried. And saccharin in our orange juice for school back in those days. Since then, I don't think there's a diet you've heard of that I haven't tried. And when I trained to be a naturopath, we got very much into the ketogenic style dieting, which I still think has a lot of validity. There's a lot of power because I'm reducing down the carbohydrate load. Now, I'm not against any diet. Every single diet works, but what I've learned is they're not sustainable. Cannot stay on it. Even keto, you can't stay on it. You get this time that it comes on, it goes off, it comes on. I have yo-yoed for the last 50 years. It's a long time.
Would you share sort of what are we talking about like the extremes that you will? What was your heaviest?
Was about just on 2 months before I started MB. So it got to Christmas 23, and I got on the scales and I was 103.2 kilos. I was mortified. And I help people all the time with their weight management, but mine was just going up and up. And it was one of those moments like, this is not a New Year's resolution. This is a need to change something. So I did what I've always done. I went on to keto. And I knew the weight would come down. And I was thinking, if I get down to 90, I'll be excited. I haven't been under 90 kilos for very, very many years, but I'll just accept it that I'm coming, in my 60s, and I'll just accept that I'm going to be a size 16 to 18, and I'll just live with that, but I'll be healthy. Diana and I have known each other for a long time, and she said, "Oh, look, I told her that, I think I got down at that stage about 94 kilos, something like that, expecting pretty much to stay there. And she said, "Look, I've started this new program. It's called Metabolic Balance. I'd really like you to do it." And I gave her the eye roll. And I thought, "Ah, another guinea pig for you. Okay." I thought, "Oh, well, I have nothing to lose." So when we started, she was explaining how it worked. And so we did my bloods and I had to fill out the form. And one of the questions on the form was, "What is your goal weight?" So I thought, 85 kilos, like as if that's ever going to happen. And like, it was when I hit the 85 kilos, I just didn't know what was happening. I thought, this is just incredible. I've never done anything like this. And then when I got down to 78 kilos, I thought, this is impossible, but it's happened. And it wasn't the weight, it was how I felt, the inflammation. And I spoke to my body lady, she's a body work lady, and I said to her, because she's been the whole time I've been doing this, and I said, "What is your take on the changes in me?" And because she works with inflammation and the tissue mainly, it's like working on a body that's 15 years younger.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, and that's inflammation and just the whole tissue dropping and everything clearing in that sense. So when I'm encouraging people that this is something to look into, you'll initially get excited about the weight, but you wait until how you feel. That's when you know a program like this is incredible. And like I was saying, having been a yo-yo dieter for very many years, to have I was met with Dinah a couple of weeks ago and said, "Do you realise I have been on MB for 2 years and I'm still at 78.3 kilos. How is this possible? And yet I don't feel any deprivation at all. With all my knowledge, I'm still amazing."
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I mean, it is very true, isn't it, that when you are feeling so good, when you actually feel good within yourself, it comes from the inside out. And then you are lowering it's real food. I mean, it is just whole foods and real meals that you are enjoying. It's like, why would you change anything or stop doing it?
I think that's something that really happened as well. I've always loved my carbs. I've loved my bread, my pasta, all those things. But I was also a child of the 80s when it became fat free. As long as it was fat free, you would be healthy and you would drop weight. Completely ignoring the fact that I was having pasta with a tomato sauce and no cheese and all these things, and the weight was still going on. It just ignored that because I was being healthy because I was fat free. Doing ketogenic was great because it flipped it round the other side, so I could have the fat, I could have the meat, I could have the veggies, but not the carb. But what I realise now is that every food can nurture you if it's the right food for you. So when I first got my plan, I did sulk. I will admit that I got a little bit.
Did you?
And I sat with Dinah going, "What do you mean I can't have whatever it was?" And I said, "But this isn't on my list." She'd know because it's not on the list. But I want you can't. And it was the first time I heard it, trust the process. I must have heard trust the process 50 times because I kept questioning, why can't I? And she said, "I'm training. I don't know every answer, but trust the process."
Okay. Okay.
So initially, I started the program to support Diana, and it was a new program she was doing. She wanted someone to do it that knew all about dieting, knew about how different diets work, and I, I think she probably secretly thought, well, if it works for Gillian, it'll work for anybody. Not that she ever said that.
Okay, yeah, alright, yeah, so you were a good person, yeah.
And for me, it was a good test too because I I wanted the change. I have always been a little bit fearful of like, probably going to end up on my own at some stage. What if I've got these sore joints, sore knees, sore shoulders, sore hips? how am I going to get around? I need to get the weight off. So it encouraged me to give this a go. Um, it's really hard to explain to someone when they're about to start the journey because generally all they're focused on is what you can't have. And it takes a lot to get your head around what I can't have, what's not on my list is because my body doesn't want that. If I could tap into my body and hold two food items up, one on my list and one not, it would say, well, I want the one on the list. I can't use the one that's not on the list. So it's a waste of time eating it. And that took a lot to get my head round. But once I started feeling so energetic, so just feeling so good, and people started walking in, and initially they'd say, "Oh my goodness, you've dropped a lot of weight," but there's a and you look amazing, and it was the looking amazing that became more and more important for me to hear because I felt it, and anyone can look better when they drop weight, but if you're actually feeling really vibrant at the same time, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things that I hear this, I hear this a lot. And I think a lot of women, especially when they go through those sort of 40s and 50s, the perimenopause, menopause, and it sort of leads them into this sort of very heightened inflammatory state and the weight creep. You don't you've and the you've had the yo-yo dieting, but you could never get it very low whenever you did do something before, that was just more general. Um but it's also that feeling that you there's a fear, isn't there, of the future, but you're trying to avoid even thinking about it because you're trying your best all the time, but actually you know that you're not feeling good really for the age you are and for the future.
Mm. It actually was quite a pivotal moment. It was even before I started MB, and there was a podcast came out that we're actually designed to live till we're 120. And a friend was very excited about that. I was horrified. I thought, if I'm feeling like this at like 62, 63, what am I going to feel like at 120? That was just beyond comprehension. I'd be crippled. I'd be in a rest time. I wouldn't go to work. I wouldn't have any money. Now I look at it like if I live to 120, well, I'm fit, I'm mobile, I have more energy than I had in my 50s. Yeah, bring it on. I feel really good about it. That's the change in the way I think about the future and my future.
That's incredible, actually. Yeah, I love that. And I think you have to understand how your body feels on the right fuel, on the right food, and actually experience that real time and opportunity to even understand, well, how are you making your choices now in the future? Because am I right in thinking that your lifestyle really has changed and that you see this now as really sustainable for the future?
Oh, absolutely. And that brings me back to the beginning about yo-yo dieting, about every diet working until you come off it. The the thing I keep encouraging people because they go on the program with Diana, but they come in the shop and see me and they ask me questions and because Diana's busy to have a constant appointment. So initially the foods that you can't have, you miss. I really want them, I really miss them. But if you stick to the program, stick to it 100%, when you come out the other end, go ahead and have that food and see how you feel. Now, I have been an ice cream person all my life. I adore ice cream. Could never get enough of it. So I got to the end of my, I think about 16 weeks I worked out to, and I had an ice cream. And I was eating it, and I was sort of going, tastes really weird. And I didn't quite know what to, I think that's very strange. It just doesn't taste right. I don't think much more of it, and then it was Easter. I thought, hot cross bun, a nice gluten-free hot cross bun, but I'm going to have butter on it. I could have sworn that butter was red. And my husband said, "But we just opened a new block. It's not red, but I'm eating it fine." But that's how awful the butter tasted to me. And I
That sounds a bit sad. I love butter.
so but it changes the way foods that aren't right for you no longer taste good. You know, that old adage that we crave our poisons. So when you have a food that isn't right for you can actually taste that it's wrong. And other foods, yeah, the next day, you feel it. You feel something's not right, and you can trace it back to the food you know you shouldn't really have had.
I often think this is where, when we are like out of balance, when we are feeling a bit of that meh kind of, oh, when you kind of you're functioning every day, because actually this is the reality that you were functioning every day. You were getting through every day. You were, you were successfully, in your business, looking after the health food shop that you had, and you were okay basically, but you were below par. Now when we are in that state, and then when we're eating sort of different foods, we can't tell the difference because we're already feeling a bit kind of in the first place. So really, if a food that we eat makes us feel oh so slightly more shitty or oh so slightly not quite so, it's just like minute little differences. But when you actually take your health now after a sustained period of really eating the right foods for you, it goes up properly and changes. And you, like you say, you felt energetic, you felt healthy, you felt whole new place, in your well-being. So when you then ate a food that then dropped you where it used to drop you, there's actually a big change that you're experiencing, and you can notice it.
Very much so, and I describe it to people that when you incrementally feel bad with a food that's just gradually getting up and gradually, and if let's say it causes you some stomach bloating, you forget that it's the food causing it, and you just think that that's your normal state. You normalize it, and your body just says, "Okay, well, she's not gonna listen to me. She's gonna keep putting it down my throat, so we will just normalize these symptoms." Then when you take it out, it's like the body's got all this freedom, and it feels wonderful, and then you put it back in because you're having a treat, and it goes, "Oh, no, 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 no." And it gives you these really revved up symptoms, and you feel terrible. But the beauty of it is with the very next meal, you change it. You go back to the foods that are right, and it's like your body goes, "Yay," and it heals really quickly, and you feel good. It's that it's that incredible control that you have back that's it's the power within me to be healthy. It's no longer beyond my reach. I've got it. It's me, and I feel amazing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as especially, if we could talk to sort of women in your 60s, you're turning 65 this year. And I think what would you say to a woman who is like you in their mid 60s, but actually is feeling maybe how you used to feel in your early 60s? What would you say to them right now?
I'd say, look, I know exactly how you feel. You feel you've been there, you've done that, you've tried everything. Why would I go and spend money? And from most people, it's a lot of money to do something that I know probably isn't going to work because I've done it all before. But if you're getting this closer to the age of your grandparents, which I always thought of my grandparents as being old as in their 60s, forgive me for that, it's and you can see yourself worse than you are now, then you have nothing to lose. This will change your entire body. It's not just going to change the weight, it's going to change the mobility. You're going to have less pain, you're going to sleep better, you're going to feel more vibrant, and you're going to be in a better mood. You honestly will feel like the mood will lift from you. So If you feel like, "Oh, I can't, I'm not gonna try something else," well, look at me. Okay, at the I did it because I didn't wanna let Diana down, but now I have talked to so many women, "You need to go and see Diana, you need to talk to her about this program because it will change how you feel about yourself in your 60s." I feel like I'm in my 50s. I feel so much energy, and, some people say, "Well, I want what you've got." I said, "Then you need to do what I did and let go of all the past, let go of all that knowledge that you had that didn't work, that you rebounded, that you felt terrible. I've done all that. I've been there. I know how it feels. But there is a really perfect future. All you need to do is open the gate that is right in front of you. It's there for you to open. You've got the key. All you need to do is unlock it, and you will feel amazing, providing you stick to the rules.
I think it's interesting as well when you say about the investment, because the investment really is from working with a professional. We are working with a qualified naturopath, nutritionist, health professional like Diana, or because obviously, please, if anybody's listening to this, there are many natural metabolic balance practitioners around the globe, actually, so you can find your local practitioner to work with, but you're working with a professional for a period of time with an analysis of of your own blood and your plan. That's the investment. But then, whenever you revisit at every day, every month, every year, ongoing, it basically it becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because it's not something that's just it's a the one-off investment, but then it's the ongoing education. What would you say about that?
Oh, definitely. And it's when you have a set food plan. Let's go back to days when my mum used to cook for 6 people. She had a budget, and she planned the budget for a week. So she didn't buy extras, she bought the amount of food she needed for each meal for that week. So there wasn't the extra expenditure. I never did that. It was like, "Oh, I'll get this and I'll get that, and I fancy a bit of this and a bit of that." So my shopping bill has dropped dramatically because I'm not buying the extras. I buy meat and I buy the vegetables that are appropriate for me. I cook the meals that are delicious, and I eat less because I don't need to eat more, because every part of what I'm eating, is nutritionally available to me. If it's not, then it's extra food that I don't need. So why do I need to do it? And the feeling this is and then it's I suppose you liken it to life insurance or health insurance. This is investing in your future in your life. And I think particularly for women getting to up to my age, we are getting nervous about what's coming. I see women hobbling in and hobbling around. Your future, if somebody really asked you, you would not be looking forward to it because you're worried about what's coming. I was. I'm not worried anymore. I'm doing more now.
That's priceless.
It is priceless. It's so valuable. And I'm doing more now in my 60s than I was doing in my 50s.
Yeah. I think it's this is a conversation I think is really important to have as to where we do really invest our money, what is worth spending money on, because money is precious, obviously, but time is even more precious in my opinion. We never get time back. Money can kind of often come and go, and you might have a little bit more sometimes and a little bit less other times, but it comes and goes really kind of thing. But the time we never ever get it back. And time is incredibly precious, especially when it's how you show up to your relationships and your, the family and friends and experiences, what you're going to have. Do you want to sit in a waiting room, in a doctor's waiting room with your precious time and, spend money on medication or anything like that? Or do you want to actually experience good stuff and have the energy to go for a nice walk or go on breaks away and experience things?
It's a very good point. time spent in a waiting room. Yeah, and how many people do that? Like, they're going to the doctor, once, twice a week, or they're going for checkups and they spend time traveling and going and coming out with more prescriptions and not feeling any better for doing it. They don't actually come out going, "Wow, I feel awesome." But to go to your practitioner when you're on MV and you get your measurements done and you get your feedback done and everything, and you walk out feeling even better than you walked in. That's priceless. And to see people like their friends wanting to know what you're doing, family, wide-eyed going, "Oh my goodness, what have you been doing? You look vibrant." And my enthusiasm for the rest of my life is probably the thing that's really precious to me. That I'm just the other day, like, taking up paddleboarding and sitting out on the board with friends, and we got thermoses and we sat out floating in the ocean having a cup of tea. That is incredibly precious. It's a special, special thing. And just having the strength and the ability, but not just the strength, the confidence in myself to do it. And I think that's something we lose as we get older, is the confidence that we can take up something new. We can do something new. That retirement's not the end. Retirement is the time to actually get more vibrant. And I heard a lovely term the other day, and another a guy said, "Oh, she retired to the couch." Well, that's a very good statement. And yet, how many people think that's what you're gonna do? I'm not planning on retiring at the end of the year, but if I did, it'd be like, "What now? What am I gonna do?" Not, what will I do?" It's like, "Oh, now I have so much time to do so much more." It's very hard to impress on people how genuinely excited I am about my future because I feel so much better. And people focus on the weight. "Oh, you've lost a lot of weight, you must feel better." Oh my goodness, yes, I've dropped weight, but if you could feel my joints, if you could feel the lack of pain, if you could see me get up in the morning, I wake up, slide out of bed, stand up and walk. I don't hobble. I get out of the car. I would get home from work and I'd sit in the car while I got things moving so I could get out of the car. Now I don't even think about it. I just get out of the car. Those things are incredibly empowering and open up a whole world, if you like.
Yeah. And you'd never have thought, if we had a time machine and we went back to, I don't know, beginning of 23, as in before you knew, had even heard the words metabolic balance, nobody would have thought you'd be sitting here, essentially 3 years later, taking up paddleboarding and being, nice comfortably in your, in the 70s now with your weight and just feeling good. Because I think that's why I do love doing these, hearing your story and hearing real stories. I've always wanted more people to understand that taking that effort, taking the time can seriously change things that are sustainable. Because that my fear, you must be seeing this too, just in like with people maybe in the health food shop near you, but the fear is people are just seeing the medications as, oh, that's all I need to do is but they are not going to give you lifelong sustainable health. They will maybe drop the weight, but they are not going to give you the long-term real health benefits that food does, real food for you.
Yeah, I mean, food is our medicine, and we forget how much. I can't think who said it, but that you cannot medicate yourself out of a condition you ate yourself into.
Yeah.
That's probably what I've done all my life. Now, I'm fortunate that I wasn't on any medication, but it could have well been in the future that it's there. And there is very much the belief that, oh, it's much easier to take a pill. But every pill leads into another pill, into another pill. And you're on a downward slide where it's very hard to come back from that. So it's easier to stop it before it actually starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should just, I always just like to stress with this, medication is amazing. We love modern medicine and it's essential to always follow the advice of your doctor. Really, what we're saying here is if you bring alongside great food and great nourishment for your body, you actually can then use the medication for what it's actually intended, that really is accompanying for when it's really needed. And then we don't have to rely on it. Actually, if it's appropriate and safe to do so, that maybe it's not, your body is balanced enough that it no longer needs the medication. That's the real, that's the message that I would like to get across.
Absolutely. I mean, without what we call mainstream medicine now, we'd all be dead.
It's amazing, and it is the modern medicine is incredible, and I think what I always my dream is actually is always to really say, can we not take the really good stuff from all of the knowledge we have, and real knowledge of understanding our cells, every cell in our body is only there from the food that we eat. That's the only thing that sustains it.
Yes. Yeah, like if you go right back to birth when breast is best. Why is it best? Because it's what the baby needs. It's got everything the baby needs. And then as we get older, we start introducing more and more things like try a bit of this, try a bit of that. And there's if we could listen to babies with their instinct of what is good, what is going to nurture them, what is not great for them, we would learn how individual we are in the foods that we can and cannot have, and to avoid them. And it's very easy to do. You don't have to. I get people saying, "Oh, I'm not going to become that person. Oh, I can't have this and I can't have that." Why not? Why can you not say, "I don't eat that. I don't want it to eat that. My body doesn't want it."
Yeah, for me, it's always, can we focus more on what we get, in what we actually get, as in getting the energy, getting the well-being, getting the vibrancy, getting the amazing muscle health and reduced inflammation in the body, so we're not getting to be pain free, getting all of that, or you have a scone with your cappuccino in the morning. It's like, okay, so which one do I really want? Do I want the scone and the jam and the cream, or do I actually want to be like pain-free, energized, no headaches, sleeping well? Oh, okay, yeah, which one am I going to choose? Kind of thing. Yeah, yeah,
I think that was an important part when I was doing it as well, is that I had I did have my deviations, and deviations that were beyond a deviation. They were way past the deviation. And I paid the price, but I learned. I learned that, okay, that's why I'm not supposed to have that. So then if it's in front of me again, it becomes a personal choice. I can still choose to have that scone. I know the price I'll pay for it. So do I choose to have it or not? And then it becomes a choice. And if I do, well, that's fine. And it's nobody is that upset if you say, "I don't want it." It's an empowering thing as well. You do not have to fit in with everybody else. You can just say, "No, I don't want it." You don't need an explanation. Just, "I don't want it."
that's actually one of the great things I think about getting older. I mean, I'm in my 50s now, and I often think, the older you get, the more you can actually sit comfortably back in your own, you know, well-being. Like, yeah, this is me. This is what I would like. I'm not hurting anybody by choosing this option. Nobody else has to suffer the consequences if I do, eat what everyone else is eating, but I will. And so I'm choosing what I want. Just sitting comfortably in that place of, it's fine. I'm not doing it for any other reason that I want to feel well. I want to feel good.
Mm. And I think it's very important as we gain this belief in ourselves. I was talking to another lady who was going out for dinner, and she was going out to someone's place. Said, because I'm worried about what they're going to serve. Show some respect for your hostess and let her know what you can't eat. You can't eat pasta. Show her some respect and ring up and say, "I don't know what you're cooking, but I really struggle if I have pasta." She'd love to know that so she hasn't wasted her time. It's a shift in thinking and it empowers both of you. And I mean, I know as doing dinners and things, I appreciate someone that said, "I can't eat this and can't eat that." Fine, I'll work around it. don't turn up and sit at the dinner table and then not eat it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just being in that calm an empowered place of just sharing information and saying, would it be okay? And even saying, I can bring something to the dinner if if you do you want me to bring something that, and then, and so these are, it's, and this is all something as well. I think that I love people to understand is why when you are learning something like metabolic balance and you're learning how to navigate your food list and changing your lifestyle, you also have the benefit of working with your practitioner to really get the tips and the tricks and the wording and understand how you can go about navigating any kind of difficulties when people are doing it by themselves, because that, if we sort of just finish on this point, because I think it's valuable that so many of the diets you did, yes, you were educated as a naturopath, but you're also doing them by yourself. It was all about you doing it by yourself and somehow supposed to be having all the answers. And yet, with this, you actually worked with Diana.
And on top of that, the Facebook pages.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
They are invaluable to realizing that there's so many other people out doing it and putting recipes up and talking about it. And I meet a lot of people on it and come in with their little things like, oh, what about this and what about that? 9 times out of 10, my answer is trust the process and contact Diana.
Yeah.
Talk with people and I've had women come in going, I know what you meant. I feel amazing. I didn't believe you, but oh my goodness, the weight's incidental. It's the feeling. And that's when you know they've really cottoned on. It's lovely to see.
Yeah.
Kerry is not a big place, but there is a lot of women walking around just looking amazing.
So it'll become the new blue zone.
Yes,
Blue zone is a pocket in the world which great with all the centenarians live. So there are a few of these blue zones. Sardinia, I think, is a blue zone, and there's a spot in America. There's Japan, I think, has got a bit has a blue zone. It's where there's a great longevity. So let's just wait and see. Maybe Kiri in New Zealand is going to be
you never know. You're like, Les will have, there'll be 9 for us incredibly youthful women.
amazing. I look forward to that. Thank you so much, Gillian. It's been wonderful to talk to you and hear your story. And I think it's such a powerful story for other women as well. If you're in your 60s, if you're in your 50s, in your 40s, and you just want to feel better, if you're in your 70s, any decade, to be honest, and you just want to feel better, you want to feel differently, and you're open to doing things differently, then I think Gillian is a great example of just saying, yep, I'm giving this a go, trusting the process, and then reaping in the rewards of that.
Invest in yourself.
Thank you, Gillian. That's wonderful. And if anybody would like to know more about metabolic balance, you can also check out the website, metabolic-balance.com, and the show notes. And I very much look forward to sharing more stories with you in future episodes. A big thank you, Gillian. It's wonderful.
Welcome.